All right, good afternoon. I'm Reverend Darrell Gray. I am the chair of the Corrections Task Force. This was a task force that was created by Mayor Lyda Krewson uh, to begin to understand and review three urgent topics related to the City Justice Center. And this task force was created uh, uh, to do three things in particular. To investigate the alleged concerns and complaints regarding food, water, temperature, and clothing. Number two, the need to begin moving cases through the 22nd Judicial Circuit and any other measures possible to address the isolation and uncertainty resulting from the halting of court cases for nearly 1 year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Three, to become apprised of the urgent building and equipment needs of the facility, which is approximately 20 years old. Uh, I want to also identify the members of the task force. They are Adolphus Pruitt, the president of the city branch of the St. Louis NAACP, former state senator, the Honorable Jamila Nasheed, Alderman Joe Vaccaro, who is the chair of the Board of Alderman Public Safety Committee, Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, who is the vice chair, the Board of Alderman Public Safety Committee, Dr. Pamela Walker, Public Health Executive, Reverend Charles Norris, pastor of the St. James AME Church, and also president of the St. Louis Metropolitan Clergy Coalition, Brad Hump, criminal justice systems and jail operations consultant, and myself. Uh, Dr. Walker has been selected to be the vice chair of this task force as well. To date, we as a task force have met on three separate occasions. Our third meeting was this morning, and we have formulated an agenda moving forward for the site assessment for the CJC. That begins next week on the 2nd of March. It will be 3 days, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, at which time we will begin our process of touring the facility, interviewing with detainees, interviewing with correction staff, interviewing with other support staff, and or vendors of the CJC. It is our hope that we would be able to conclude our tasks no later than mid-March. We're hoping that it would be done sooner, but no later than mid-March. From the very beginning, the task force has been adamant that we would be transparent and accountable. And so in that vein, and with that commitment, we are holding this public hearing today to hear from residents individually, to hear from organizations collectively. And what we're asking is that people will direct and limit their testimony to the CJC because that's our mandate. I'll now look at we have two people I understand that have signed up, and I'll ask you, I guess, Kelly McGowan. Is Kelly McGowan our first presenter? I know we have two attendees. One I know is a reporter. The other one is, there's Kelly. Kelly, can you hear me? Is Kelly muted?
Yes.
She wrote, she's just
Hi,
observing.
good afternoon. I'm just
Yes.
observing as a concerned community member. So I didn't
Okay.
have any testimony.
All right. Thank
Thank
you very much. I know we have two
she
people
wrote that in the
signed.
chat box.
Yep, I see it. And so we know we had two people that signed up. I suspect that we are waiting now then on those two people. For the staff, the two, we didn't get the names of those two people who signed up. Do we have them? Okay. And the second person? And so we'll try to wait until they come on. I guess what we would do, since we have our full task force complement on, I know that with Senator Nasheed indicated she wouldn't be able to make the meeting this morning, as did Alderman Boyd. You might have some questions as to the meeting this morning until our other attendees show up. Do you have any questions regarding this morning that you wish to ask myself or the consultant?
I have none. I spoke with
You can give-
Alderman
you can-
Bacoa.
You can just basically give us a brief summary of what occurred in the meeting this morning for the purpose of just stall time.
All right. Brad, if you could, if you would go over just a summary of what happened this morning and the expectation moving forward as it relates to the schedule that you proposed.
Sure. So we basically reviewed our status and where we're at. We reviewed the letter from Judge Durker and regarding the parameters that have been set, and discussed the data and our schedule moving forward. And we did have a discussion today about the data, and we have that issue resolved. So the data that we need will be available, and the access that we need will be available. The group determined that 3 of us will tour the facility and interview the wing representatives, and then report back to the full task force and debrief the full task force. And then the follow-up discussions with the CJC administrative team and the select people that they identify would take part with the full task force throughout the agenda scheduled. And I will send that agenda out. I'm in the process of updating that. We'll schedule that, get that out to everyone, hopefully yet today, if not first thing tomorrow. And like I said, we'll be on site next Tuesday. And Tuesday will be limited to tour and interviewing detainees, and then a debrief in the afternoon. And then Wednesday and Thursday would be meetings with the full task force on select topics following the agenda that we set out. And then Friday morning would be our final meeting prior to the report coming out, just to debrief the on-site. And at this time, we have a pending request out to the Public Defender's Office to meet with us that Friday morning as well.
Excellent.
Does that cover it?
Yep.
Great,
So
thanks.
You're
Thank
welcome. So once again, we're hoping that someone else will come on. We're waiting. I think we've made it very clear.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
does Mary Lou Webb want to testify?
Let me-
Want to submit testimony?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the treatment. You guys we're talking about the condition, correct?
Well, I mean, we're open to hearing your testimony. If it relates to CJC,
It does.
then we're definitely open to hearing your testimony in that regard.
Okay. When did you want me to start talking?
You can begin talking now, Ms. Webb.
Okay. Well, that's a mistake on your part. But yeah, my son was brought in and he was on suicide watch, and they put him into a holding cell, and he was just wearing no undergarments and just the gown. And some guy approached him sexually and he denied it. And the guy punched him in the face, which he shouldn't have been in with general population in a holding cell anyway. Then he was moved to a cell with, still on suicide watch, with a rope dangling from the ceiling light fixture, and the camera was covered. The caseworker took pictures and sent that off to his superior, which I would imagine is Mr. Edwards, I'm not sure. He was denied toilet paper for over 4 days. He kept asking for it. So he had no toilet paper at all. He's recently, which really angers me, is his phone calls. He was calling me every day, and then it was like every other day. And then it started being like less than 3 minutes, and he'd get off real quick. And then he didn't call me for over a week. And I called the caseworker and I asked him to please check on him. And he said that he was in his cell and he wouldn't get up, and, you know, he wasn't real responsive. And I said, well, is he eating? Is there a way to say, you know, to tell if he's been eating the food? And he called me back the next day or two and told me that he has refused the food for a month and a half, and no one said a word
Can I
until
ask you
I
a question? Ms. Webb, what
Yes.
was the time period of this?
From July on.
July of this year?
Yes, or last,
Oh.
well, last year.
Okay,
Is he still there?
Yes.
okay.
He has mental health issues, and they've moved him up on that floor, on the 4th floor somewhere. But
All right,
yeah,
please continue.
he's afraid he's being put, you know, he's asked for medication. They've given him medication, and then they've refused a couple times to give it to him. And a couple times it was the wrong medication and he refused it, knowing that it wasn't the same one. He asked to see the doctor. They ignored him, and he hit his tray against the wall or the door, and they maced him twice. I mean, there's been a lot of things. I thought I had 2 minutes, so I only had like 3 things written down. But yeah, there's been a lot of things. I've contacted Mr. Edwards and Mr. Miss Dale, somebody, numerous times, and you know, they've done nothing.
Dale Glass. It would be Dale
Yes.
Glass and Judge Jimmy Edwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Webb. I'm gonna ask the task force members to allow Ms. Webb to complete her testimony. Only if you have questions for clarification, I ask that you would, if she's open to it, if you would allow her to do the presentation, and then at the end of her testimony, if we have questions for clarity, then we'll go ahead and do that. And Ms. Webb, please continue. And we're still waiting on the other attendee. So if you maybe another 3 minutes.
Okay.
And let me ask you, well, like I said, we may have some questions at the end of your testimony, just for clarification. So you can go ahead and proceed.
Well, I was gonna say that, you know, I haven't been able to visit him or even had a video visit, which I guess they're in the process of trying to make happen. He just hasn't, you know, he's mentally deteriorating in there. He needs to be in a mental health facility getting help. You know, they're not equipped to help him there. They're making things worse. They're messing with his head with the things they're doing. They would let him out of the cell. Before they moved him, they'd put him out and they'd let other people out, and they'd talk, you know, I don't know how to say it nicely. They'd talk crap to him, and the guard would turn and let it happen, and then he'd separate them. And I mean, my son is, like I said, he has mental health issues. He's super paranoid. He's depressed. He thinks they're trying to poison him because they switched the medication. And, you know, he's in his head way, way too much. I don't have my things in front of me. Like I said, I only thought I had 2 minutes.
That's right.
So I guess.
Well, we appreciate you and your testimony. I guess I'll begin. You indicated that he's been there, you said since July of last year?
Yes.
Okay. And is he there? Does he have a bail or bond?
Nope, nothing.
Okay.
I don't think it's even moved forward yet.
Okay. And I don't know, Brad, can we ask the name of the detainee? I'm not sure. I want to defer to you. Can we ask Ms. Webb her son's name?
I would not. I'm telling you, I would not.
Okay. Okay, so Miss, yeah, I know, and we want to be cognizant, we want to respect Ms. Webb, the privacy and the rights of your son.
Right.
But we do have I guess I'll leave that to the task force members. I just wanted to ask those questions. I just wanted to, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask Ms. Webb?
No, I would say if she can give you her son's information, but not at this format. If she called you or emailed you or whatever,
Yeah.
and you could
Yeah.
talk to him,
Okay,
but I would caution on a public format to ask the name of someone that, you know, and the senator, you may know, but wouldn't you think that'd be inappropriate?
Ms. Webb, what I'll do before we continue after the questions, I'll give you the contact information
Okay.
that you can send that to. That way we won't put it publicly. Any questions for Ms. Webb?
I would say, for my part, I don't mind publicly giving my cell phone number out. I give it out anyway. You could call me. And I guess I could probably get a little more information. I do have concerns, and it's been one of mine since I've been elected, that there really is not a good mental health. You know, the people in there with mental health get treated the same, and it really shouldn't be. And I always felt, but if you want to jot my phone number down, you can.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay, you got a pen?
Yes.
It's 314-718-0131. And, you know, on a public forum, I don't think it's a good idea, but I can, you know, if a lot of this is what you're saying, I could find out the other side too, that they may say, well, this is, you know, you know, and I would hope that I could arrange separately than this committee to maybe at least get you some conversation with them, if that's the case. I would hope.
Okay.
If you have my cell number, feel free to call me.
Okay.
And we'll follow up with the alderman, Ms. Webb, as far as the name. So once again, so they can be included in our submission and in our process of review and investigation. That
Hey,
would,
Ms.
you know, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions for Ms. Webb. She doesn't
Yes, sir.
mind. Yeah, Ms. Webb, one thing I want to ask, is your son represented by an attorney, and is that a private attorney or a public defender?
Public defender.
And has that public defender filed anything with the courts on behalf of your son and the treatment that your son is receiving?
No, he's aware of it. I've told him, but he has not filed. He said he didn't know how to put that in or something. So I'm not sure what to do.
The attorney said he did not know how to put it in.
Yeah, because of he's
All right.
appointed for the other thing.
Okay, that's interesting. 2, did your son indicate as relates to how the guards were somewhat participating in the things that was happening to them? Did he indicate whether it's the same set of guards or that happens to him regardless of which correctional officers he's been exposed to?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you can ask that question from him, it'd be interesting to know if it's a certain guard, a certain set of guards that are allowing that sort of folks to harass them, and they're turning their back, and they seem to be participating in it. It'd be great to understand if it's the same set or is that the thing overall. And then my last couple of questions is, you know, we've heard the complaints about the food, water, temperature in the facility, not access to clothing, things of that nature. Has he complained about any of those things? And if he has he filed any action with that you know of?
He has not, I mean, well, he couldn't use his sink for a while because it was plugged up when they moved him into another cell. It was plugged up and smelled really bad. So I told him, you know, to keep letting them know. But he won't drink the water out of his faucet because he thinks there's something with the water.
So when you said that sink was plugged up and he was getting the odors and stuff, did he indicate
yeah.
how long after he began to complain about it, did he indicate how long it was before they got to it or done something about it?
It was within a week.
Within a week. And
Yeah.
and you mentioned that he has a caseworker and that you've been in communication with that caseworker. Do you
Yes.
know if that caseworker has filed anything formally or took any actions to try to get the facility to address the issues as relates to your son?
All I know is that he took pictures and he presented it to his supervisor. That's all I was told. I've asked him numerous times if anything has, if he's heard anything about what they've done or anything, and he said no.
And this caseworker is with what department? What is this a caseworker within the corrections department or
Yes.
it's
Yes.
a caseworker within the correction department?
Yes.
Interesting. And has that caseworker been fairly responsive in speaking with you though?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah. He's been really, really good.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that's all I had.
All right. And Ms. Webb, I guess my final question, would you be willing to share any written documentation between yourself? You indicated that you had communicated in some way with the public safety director and the commissioner. If you
in
have
the
any
mayor's office and all kinds of yeah.
So you do have documentation where you've communicated with them. Do you also have documentation where they have communicated back with you, or have they communicated back with you?
Yes. I mean, yeah, Mr. Edwards said the last time when I mentioned about the food, he said, "Oh, I'm familiar with your son." And I think it's because I've written to him multiple times. But
Okay.
he never gets back to me. He says he'll check on him and then that's it.
Would
Or
you be
he
willing?
has.
Would you be willing to share that documentation, just a copy of that we might have that for our records and our review as well?
Yes.
So when you reach out to Alderman Vaccaro, we're going to ask if you would provide that information to the alderman so that he can bring it to our task force meeting on your behalf.
Okay. Yeah. Anything you need.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Ms. Webb?
I have my
Ms. Webb,
hand up.
Oh, go. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you. Ms. Webb, let me first and foremost thank you for coming on and letting your concerns be heard. My question to you is, what is it that you are asking the task force to do? What is it that you need to be done in order to make sure that your son is healthy and being treated in the most fairest way?
Well, that's, I mean, I would like him somewhere where he can get help, and I don't feel he's getting help there. I don't think they're equipped to help him or, choose to help him. I think he needs, mental health treatment. He needs to be assessed. He needs to be, I mean, they do a 15-minute intake and then they assume they know what they need. And that's not long enough to, that's not long enough to explore someone's mind, I feel like he needs more in-depth. He needs help, and he needs to be treated definitely differently. They're messing with his head. He's in his head enough. I'm not sure that I answered your question.
Are they giving him the medical treatment that he needs in terms of his mental conditions? I don't know if he was already on medicine
No, he
before
wasn't.
he got there. So he wasn't
No.
on medicine before he got there. Okay.
No, he had
Okay.
medicine in the past, but has had different medications and there's been problems with them, but he was not on medication. They put him on medication, and when they refused it, for a few days, they refused to give him his medication. And then when they did, it was okay. And
Do you
then
know why?
I guess they forgot.
Do
or
you know why they refused?
they forgot or too busy. I don't know. They ignored his request. And then there was a few times, like I said, they tried to give him the wrong medication. And, there's always an excuse. They explained to me that, maybe they were out of that dose, so they doubled it up and gave him something else. Same, like 250 milligrams instead of 100 or something. But I mean, they didn't tell him that. And he, of course, thought they were trying to poison him, which, they could have given him the wrong medication. But they also had an excuse with the toilet paper that, people plugged the toilets up. But I mean, to deny it completely for over 4 days, I mean, there's no excuse for that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Dr.
Thank you, Ms. Ware.
Thank you, Senator. Reverend Norris.
Yes. Ms. Webb, had your son been, I know you said he was not on medication, but had he been diagnosed prior to intake at CJCC? And you don't have to tell me the diagnosis, but
Yeah.
Had he been diagnosed?
At a different facility a few years ago, yes.
Okay.
But there was a couple of different things.
Okay. Was he under in the care of a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything prior
No.
to his? He was not. Okay. And since then the diagnoses that have been, or the medicine has been prescribed for him now, was it consistent with what had been prescribed before?
I don't know. They won't tell me what it is
Oh, okay. All right.
because that HIPAA or whatever.
Oh, because he's an adult. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
And they don't tell him either. I told him he has a right to know, what they're giving him.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one
Yes.
follow-up question.
Yes, Mr. Pruitt.
Hey, Ms. Webb, and you mentioned this caseworker, the things that you're talking about, the toilet paper, all these things, medicine, all this thing. Am I understanding that you and the caseworker have discussed those, and do you know if the caseworker documented that?
We have discussed it. I'm pretty sure he has documented it. He actually talked to the lawyer about it too.
Got it. When you contact the chairman and give him the name and other information, can you share with him the name of the caseworker so that, and his lawyer, and maybe gives the opportunity to reach out to them to get some additional information? Do you mind sharing that with him?
No, I have no problem with that.
Great, thanks.
All right. I guess I just have one final question as well. I may have already been asked. Ms. Webb, when was the last time you spoke to your son?
Friday. He called
Okay.
me Friday.
Okay. Okay. All right. We appreciate it. Any other
But just, yeah,
questions?
when you
Yes.
call in to try to talk to him, I know it's a service, how much they charge you a minute?
I'm not sure. I know he gets like 3 free phone calls a week, I think he told me.
Oh, okay.
But I put money on that thing.
But if you call there too, I know they charge so much a minute, but I just didn't know what it was. I know it's pricey.
Call to talk to him, you mean?
Or when, well, or for him to even call you to put on so you can call. I know it's pricey. I try to remember how much it was a minute. I thought it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just put on $40 each time. I don't know. Yeah, I can't call him though.
Right. But,
Yeah.
but I know the calls are real pricey. I just didn't know how much. I know they're pricey.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know offhand though. I know I
All right.
was told before, but I can't remember.
That's all right. All right, well, we really appreciate your testimony, Ms. Webb. And as we indicated in the beginning, our job is to do the review, to ask questions, to seek testimony and information as it relates to the allegations and the complaints and concerns that have been registered by the detainees. We've made a commitment that we're going to do everything in our power to get as much information as we can. We've made it clear that our concern is a health and safety concern. It's a concern of people's basic rights being met. We're concerned with anyone who enters into the facility, be they detainee or staff or visitors or such. And so we want to make that clear, but we really thank you for coming forward and sharing with us. And please reach out to Alderman Vaccaro with the information that we requested so that he can submit it to us so that we can follow up on that within the scope of our mandate. You're welcome to stay on if you wish. I'm going to ask if there are any other attendees on the list that have signed up to speak.
I do have one other question. Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
any concerns that I should have about retaliation against my son?
No, ma'am. I
Okay.
mean, I mean, we're saying as a task force, we'll follow up. And I think that Mr. Pruitt and Senator Nasheed and the others that have spoke have made it very clear. It is confidential. I mean, our speaking to Commissioner Glass, we'll speak directly to him. He's responsible for the Justice Center in that regard. And so you've given us no names publicly. Once you talk to the alderman, we'll follow up and we will be as discreet and as responsible as possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Webb.
I just feel like somebody's finally listening. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, the mayor constituted this task force, and so we're happy that she did that as well. There are a lot of other organizations out there doing great work. We are hoping that we might hear from some of them today or this evening. I see a G. Connolly and a KM. Are there others on the list that have signed up to speak or would like to give testimony? Are there others? So maybe we are still waiting.
I think that we've given ample time. I mean, we can give a little bit more time, but
Well,
I'll sit here till 4 o'clock.
No, I'll follow the direction of the task force. What would be your pleasure? It's 2:35 now.
Well, what time did we actually say that it would end?
2 to 4.
Okay, 2 to 4.
Yes, and we only had 2 people that, from my understanding, only 2 people that signed up to give testimony. One has. I don't have the name of the second person. And as I said, we only have 4 others in the room who are observers.
Reverend?
Yes.
Reverend, this is Brad Hop. I
You?
guess we could just remind the audience that they can also submit things in writing if they would choose to.
Can you? And so I don't have that address.
No, you're
I
fine.
muted it. I'm on this task force for.
No, you're fine. So
All right, good, thank you. Brad, do you have the information, the address information where people can mail it? I don't have that in front of me.
I'm sorry, I do not have that in front of me at this point, but I believe it's on the website and it was
is on the
also on the
website,
press
right.
release.
Yes. And so I'll look for that. I'm going to look for that press release as we go through. But once again, as Brad indicated, anyone who would like to submit written information, you can go to the city website and you can type in Corrections Task Force, and there will be an email address to the task force where you can submit your written testimony that way as well. And we're encouraging, as we indicated, there are several groups who have been doing this work. Expo, we're hoping that Expo will submit written documentations. Our city defenders, ACLU, OBS. We understand that State Representative Rasheen Aldridge received calls as well with concerns. We would invite him to submit any documentation that he may have. We understand that Congresswoman Cori Bush has indicated that her office has received statements of concern and accusations as well. And so we're asking any and all organizations and or individuals, if you would submit that information. Once again, if you go to the city website and if you type in Corrections Task Force, it will give you, it'll go to that, and there is an email address that you can forward that to, and we welcome you to do that. Remember, also tonight, we will reconvene from 6 to 8. Those who cannot make presentation or give testimony now, we would invite you to come back and give that testimony this evening.
Reverend Gray,
Yes.
were any of the individuals that you mentioned invited to be a part of the listening session? Did you send out invites for testimony?
No, there was only one organization that I spoke to directly in that list. And I'll just say that they indicated that they did not wish to give testimony. But I won't say which organization that is. I think, Senator, we didn't do that.
I think for transparency, you know, why wouldn't you say who it is?
Well, it was Expo. I mean,
Okay.
like I said, for transparency, it was Expo. They're doing an excellent work, but they indicated that they did not want to give testimony. They were concerned with making sure that there was representation with someone who had been ex-detainee, and that was their primary concern at this point. I have no problems with reaching out to other organizations between now and this evening to ask them if they'd be interested, but this has been out in the public, and I'm sure that these organizations are aware that this public hearing is taking place. But once again, I have no problems in reaching out to the organizations and individuals that I've mentioned and ask them if they would either A, be prepared to share in the public hearing, or B, to be prepared to share their information in writing.
Hey,
No
Mr.
problem with
Chairman.
that. Yes.
Now I was going to say that I think most of the other ones are more involved in some form of litigation as relates to this matter. And that's probably why they don't want to give any testimony because they're suing the city and all these other things. But I was going to ask if Brad could, I want to ask Brad a question, and Brad, you can respond after I'm finished, but based on her testimony,
infection.
I think it opens, getting a little bit more information about this particular case. I'm thinking about the letter that we got from Durker, and I think her testimony basically addresses or is in line with item 1, 2, and 3 as relates to the need to maybe interview a lot of folks involved in the Justice Center about this particular case I think their insight is directly in line with the stuff we're supposed to be looking at.
You're asking my opinion on that?
Yes,
I guess my opinion is, based on this, and this is again, this case deals with an individual with private health information. My recommendation is that we would summarize the issue and then in writing and give it to Mr. Glass to handle. And I think we would want to stick, there might be some points in here that cross over into our task, but I think we should still stick with our tasks. But I definitely think it's a valid concern and it needs to be followed up on. And I think I would recommend we summarize this and submit it and let the proper channels go through the process and reach out to Ms. Webb.
Brad, I'm talking about more as relates, a good example. We're talking about the admission issue about the water and about the conditions of the facility. So if his sink, that particular sink was in such a disarray where they had to ask for maintenance and it took a week or longer for maintenance, I think understanding what happened and how long it took and the process and what it went through, I think goes straight to the stuff we're trying to figure out about. I think the issue as relates to not getting toilet paper for a while and the rationale for them not getting it, we understand what the testimony was as relates to the issue for not getting it. But I think we asking specifically about that as example and looking and asking about any other issues that fall in that category. I think they fall directly to the things that we're talking about. And so I'm not interested in as much as the medical side. I understand the HIPAA, but I'm saying the things they talked about, a sink that's in disarray, it took a week for them to deal with. The fact that they were denied toilet paper and there was a rationale given that they use it, stop up the toilet and things of that nature, understanding those from a transactional standpoint and timing and all of that, I think it goes to the heart of what we're dealing with.
I agree. I guess I didn't fully understand your first comment, but no, I agree. Certainly the water and the specific issues, I think we'd make note of that and follow up on that next week.
All right, great.
Okay.
The sink
Right.
was like that when they moved him into the cell. I mean, it wasn't
No.
due to him.
No, we
Thank you,
understand.
Ms. Webb.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Are there any others on the attendee list? I see that we have, I think, yes.
I have the addresses for you. If you would like those, if people want to grab a pen to submit written testimony. If you want to submit testimony on paper, in writing, it's the Corrections Task Force, 1200 Market Street, room 402, St. Louis, Missouri, 63103. And if you want to submit by email, it's EJC Task Force at STLOUIS-MO.gov.
So you said gov.gov?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Walker. Thank you for that. We'll have that for this evening as well. Are there any other people in the attendees box that have signed up or wish to give testimony? I know we have 5 additional attendees. I'll ask again. I think that if we want to agree, if there are no other comments, we'll try to at least take the hearing to 3 o'clock. It's right now 2:46. Once again, I see that we have 5 people in the room. Are any of those people signed up to give testimony? Yes, Alderman Boyd.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this was a public notice that was published that the hearing will start at 2 p.m.
Yes, sir.
What I heard is we only had 2 people sign up. Only one person appeared. We start our hearings. If we start them on time, they close typically when the speakers are done. That's the public input
Okay.
portion. And I don't see any reason why we would stay open past anyone saying they have comments. Also, I'm wondering if we have no one signed up for the afternoon, is there a need to even move forward with an afternoon meeting? If the request was to sign up and no one has signed up, and I'm not sure how much time they have to sign up for this one in the afternoon, but would there be a reason to open a meeting for public comment if we have no indication that anybody has signed up to speak?
I'll leave that to the task force. If the members of the task force indicate that based upon the rationale you've given, which I think is appropriate, that we don't have the meeting this evening because no one has signed up. I agree with you, but the task force, y'all have to make that decision. We have to make that decision together. So what is the pleasure of the task force as it relates to this evening? Seeing that no one has signed up. Yes.
Reverend Gray.
Yes.
One of our attendees commented, quote, "I have spoken to many that aren't able to speak now that wish to speak later during the 6 to 8 session."
Okay.
And is there
That's posted in the chat.
But isn't there a way for them to make contact with the task force before that time period to let it be known that they want to speak? I mean, they still have opportunity to make that known, but I believe when we do now I'm thinking of the Board of Aldermen, but when we do public comment, you have up to an hour before that period or something like that. Because, for the sake of making sure everything works smooth, there's a protocol.
No, I understand. I'm gonna, I guess, make a decision, and obviously the task force can override it. The chat says I've spoke to many who aren't able to speak now that wish to speak later during the 6 to 8 session, as it is a weekday and many people cannot attend mid-afternoon meeting. And so someone asked, could an hour's allowance before the meeting be given for people to reach out indicating interest? I'm gonna, I guess I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna say we'll go ahead with the 6 o'clock meeting. We'll go ahead with the 6. We did post it, and we do recognize that there are people who may have missed the public announcement. They may be just getting this word of mouth. I think that if there are people who want to speak, I think we should make that opportunity available for them. And I do understand, Alderman, you're right. There's a certain protocol that's usually followed with the city. I think all of us would agree that these are extenuating circumstances. And the last thing I want is for people to say that we stymied their speech. And so I'll state that we'll continue with the 6 o'clock meeting as scheduled, and we'll take people that come in, and we'll be more restrictive, Alderman, on the time. We'll make sure people know on the time that it's very limited, and we'll give people no more than 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll stick with that.
Reverend Gray?
Yes, Senator.
Will you be willing to, or the communications department that's handling all of our communications, would you think it'll be okay if we do a press advisory that would be sent out to media, and that way the media can run it probably at the 5 o'clock news for individuals to be able to know what exactly is happening with the listening session?
We can do that. Remember, Brian, his position with us as a staff support is tentative right now. But as soon as we get off of this call, I will reach out to the mayor's office or communications people and ask them if they would put that press advisory out immediately, if not sooner. And if they can't do it, we'll make arrangements to get it out.
Yeah, because I think it's very have of all the different avenues available to really get this message out to the people here in the city of St. Louis that we are here and we're here and we're ready to listen, and we want their voices to be heard.
Okay, we'll follow up with that, Senator. So it is now 2:51. We don't have anyone else scheduled for the hearing. I would recommend that we adjourn at this time and reconvene at 6 o'clock for the evening public hearing. Do we need a motion?
Consensus?
Do we need, okay, can we operate? So if no one disagrees, then we will adjourn until 6 p.m. And then we will reconvene, and I will follow up with the appropriate people at the City Hall to get a press advisory out regarding the 6 p.m. Public hearing. So thank you all very much. We'll see you at 6, and I'll get on this right now.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Webb.